Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Cooking with Casey, the Redeemed podcast. It is such a pleasure to have you with us today. Today, I have a very, very special guest, and I am so excited to be able to get her. She's a busy person. I had a hard time tracking her down. So today, I just wanted to introduce to you Miss Helen Zurup. Actually, it's Mrs. Helen Zurup.
Yeah.
But I'm from the South. I got to be gentle and kind. Helen, I want to thank you so much for being here today, and I want you to tell us your story. We're in a beautiful building, a beautiful facility, and so tell us how you got to where you're at today and what you got going on.
Oh, that's fun. Okay. Well, I will try to do that in a short amount of time.
Very good.
So, my dad was Ted Gibbs, and he started a trucking company with one little pickup truck. And as he grew doing local pickup and delivery, then my mom got a pickup truck, and I kind of grew up in that business. We ran everything out of mom and dad's house. All those years, I would type up the billing. I remember on Sundays, I would have to type up the billing, and we would only do it once a month. And how we survived only billing once a month, I don't know. But anyway, so that was a long time ago. And then in 1980, that was in 82. In 1987, I got married, and my husband started that fall then driving for mom and dad. And a couple of years later, then he started dispatching. And then in 94, we bought our first official building. We were running everything out of our houses and had the trucks parked at Ryder, which is where my dad met you, Casey.
Right.
And you became good friends. And
I had an employee at the time.
yeah, you're right. And you did.
I was one of the first.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And then in 2015, we built our first terminal here. We bought the business from my folks in 97, 98, right around there. My dad,
Say we.
my husband and I, Craig.
Okay.
And then in 2002, my dad passed away from prostate cancer, and that was absolutely awful. And we had, in 1998, when we bought the business, we had added semis then for the first time. And we did actually everything wrong you could imagine running a trucking company. We paid our employees wrong. We just did everything wrong, and we were bleeding money. We lost a lot of money, and it was ugly. And we were working with the bank. We had a line of credit, and the bank wanted us to file bankruptcy. It was awful. And I had a board at the time. I ended up getting a board to help us, advise us what to do, and they helped us actually grow to what we are today. But then the bank forced us into filing bankruptcy. They would rather have us do that than work out our plan that we came up with. And it was awful. It was bad because by the time the bankruptcy was all final and through was about the time my dad was dying of prostate cancer. So it was such a very stressful, awful time in my life. So it was just nasty, but God was faithful and he was good and he helped us through all that. And we learned everything through the School of Hard Knocks, and it helped us grow to be where we are today. We have, I think, right around 65 employees. We've got this beautiful terminal. We do a little warehousing now. And yeah, we've just been very, very blessed. So
How many trucks have you got on the road?
I don't know, maybe 45, 50.
Long ways from the pickup truck.
Long ways from one little pickup truck, yeah. Yeah, so it has grown quite a bit. Yeah. So, but we've been very blessed. We've got 5 children. Of the 5, the first 2 are girls and they're married, and both of them work in dispatch here. And then my oldest son, the next one is my son Ethan, and he works here and he helps the mechanics. And then I've got 2 more boys. And one works for a landscaper and one is actually applying at the post office. So I don't know. We'll see if he gets in there. But anyway, so we've just been very, very blessed. And we were doing in 2004, I think it was, we had an employee that had a situation and Craig and I ended up deciding to get our foster care license. And we did that for about 10 years. And then one morning, it was actually September 11, 2014. I remember it. I said a prayer that morning, and because you're busy, right? You got
Sure.
5 kids, you're running a business, you're working at church, you're just busy. And I said a prayer that morning, and I said to the Lord, if there's somebody you need me to help, let me see it today. And that particular day, I had done sales calls till about 3 o'clock, and I thought, well, I don't want to drive all the way into Holland to our office. I thought I'll just go home and I'll check my emails and work from there. Well, we had to get so much training in to renew our foster care license. And I thought, well, I'll just throw that training video in and I'll kill two birds with one stone. And I'm only half paying attention, right? And a boy comes on and he's talking about the video was talking about how hard it is to get older foster children adopted. And a boy comes on, he's maybe 15, and he says this, and it literally changed my life. He said, my older siblings told me once I reach a certain age, I'll be unadoptable. And then he paused and he looked real sad and he said, no one should steal your hope. And that hit me so wrong. And I thought, oh boy, I better watch this. So I get up from the table and I go in the living room and I watch the rest of this video. And it went on to say that at the time we had 600,000 children in the foster care system in America, and 120,000 were available for adoption. But once the kids reach the age of aging out, which typically is 18 years old, that 25% end up homeless. And that was the magic word, because I can't stand homelessness.
I've been there.
Have you?
I have.
So you know how awful it is. You know how awful it is. And it's hard to get out of it once you've been there too. It's very hard to get out of it. So, and these kids, I don't know what it's like in all the states, but I know where we live, when they would age out, they wouldn't have a driver's license. They wouldn't even have a state issued ID, and they wouldn't have their social security card on them, and they have no address. So how are you going to fill out a job application?
Right.
All the things you need to get employed, you don't have, right?
Right.
So anyway, we're working to change that here in our state, and hopefully it's better in your state. But so when I got done watching that video, well, at the end of the video, they had said that California had done a marketing initiative where they got these kids on TV news stations, and they had a high success rate of getting them adopted. So I thought, why aren't we doing that here in Michigan? So I was on the board at the time of a nonprofit that was doing foster care and adoption, and I called the executive director and I said, if I can come up with the money to get these kids on TV, can you help me make it happen? Oh, Helen, I love that idea. Yes, let's do that. And then I had met a woman at a women's networking lunch that had done TV commercials. So I called her and I said, Barb, I just found out that these kids are aging out and ending up homeless. Less than 2% will ever go on and get any further education. A lot of times the girls end up shacking up with a guy just because they have nowhere to go, and they end up getting pregnant, and they've never really had a good example of how a good mother should be. So they just really struggle, and sometimes their kids end up back in the system. The boys sometimes can end up in trouble with the law because they've stolen or they've got involved with a gang or whatever. So it's just a vicious cycle. So if you don't get these kids adopted into a good home, it's so hard for them, right?
Right.
So anyway, she said, Helen, I would love to help you. And that was how GrantMeHope was started, all because of a prayer. So January 6th, we had gotten permission from the state of Michigan to air their kids that were adoptable. We got a TV station that agreed to air our kids for free, and we aired our first kid in less than 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it was such a God thing. It was such a God thing. Yeah.
I love it when God works.
Oh, I got stories. He's been working like crazy over here, so it's really good.
That is really awesome. So are you just here in the state of Michigan, or have you branched out in it?
Right. So that was in 2015. So we ended up getting kids on the air kind of all over the state, where we got ABC and CBS agreed to air our kids. In 2016, we launched into Ohio. So we've got kids on the air in Ohio.
Okay.
And then we launched into Georgia, which I think is where you're from.
Right.
So we've got kids on the air in two TV stations right now currently in Georgia. One is in Atlanta, and I think the other one's in Columbia.
Columbus.
Is it Columbus?
Yeah, Columbus.
Okay. Okay. So, and I could go look them up. I can get you the TV station call number, so air letters. But anyway, so we've got kids on the air in Georgia, and then we're in South Carolina. So, and we did 2 years. We worked with the state of Mississippi. We worked a little bit with Indiana. But right now we're in those 4 states hearing kids.
Wow, that is awesome. And what is your success rate through your TV
Yeah,
broadcast?
yeah. I really honestly don't know, and I don't think I'll ever know until I get to heaven and I can say to the Lord, okay, how did we do? What did we do? Because we got 3 goals. We try to educate America about the plight of these kids.
Sure.
People don't realize that, well, first of all, that there's so many in the foster care system and that they age out and end up homeless. They don't know it. And the other thing that they don't realize is that in Michigan, we've got institutions that if we don't have enough foster care families, they go to an institution and the institution takes care of them. Maybe down south they have orphanages or housing like that. But I called the state of Michigan when all this was going on, actually before this, and I had said, do we have any orphanages in Michigan? And they said no. And I just made the assumption that, oh, well, then we have enough foster families. Well, that's just not the case. We need really good foster homes. So our goal is to recruit more foster homes, to educate, and then to get these kids adopted. So those were our 3 goals when we started out. But when I started out GrantMeHope, we had 6 aged out homeless foster kids living behind the grocery store in Holland.
Oh my.
I know. So it's right here in your backyard, and I guarantee you it's in your backyard too. Because unless you're actually digging into it and finding these kids, you don't know what's going on in your own backyard. So every year I talk to a gentleman here that works with the homeless, and I'll say to him, how many homeless aged out foster kids do I have now? Well, a few years ago I had 8 boys. And there was a house at the end of the street here by Teddy's, and it had went for sale, and it was a 5-bedroom. And I thought, God, wouldn't it be something if I could buy this house, put bunk beds in the 4 bedrooms, and get a set of house parents in this house, and get these boys off the street and help them get their driver's license, get a job, teach them how to do interviewing and whatever, help them with budget counseling, set them up with a Christian mentor, and just teach them life skills.
Sure.
How to do your laundry, how to change the oil in your car, how to change a tire, how to just do everything that maybe they've never been taught. Well, the city of Holland had a rule that you couldn't have more than 4 unrelated people in the same house. So I said to my board, are we going to have to buy 2 houses? What are we going to have to do? And in the meantime, the old Rock Island restaurant here on M40, it's an old truck stop restaurant, was for sale. And a guy, Ed Reitman, who was on my capital campaign committee, had come up to me and said, Helen, what do you think about, instead of buying these houses, what if we remodel the old Rock Island restaurant and put the aged out homeless foster boys in there with a set of house parents? I'm like, oh, Ed, I love this idea. I would love it. And I'm like, how much do you want for it? He said, Helen, nothing. You
Oh, are you serious?
He said, you can use it as long as you want. So, but he said it needs a lot of work. And it did. And we had to gut it down to the studs. We had to put a new roof on it. We stuck in a lot of money. But after much labor and raising of funds, it is beautiful. It is finished. We can fit 16 boys there. And I have a set of house parents. We opened February of 24. I've got a couple young men living there right now. They are doing so well. One of them got hired full-time at a manufacturer just down the road here. He's doing great. He's got over $10,000 in the bank that he has saved. He's just doing everything right. He's just so successful. But we want these houses to not just be like, helping them get on their feet, but we want it to be their home base. So they can come home for Christmas. They can come home for Taco Tuesday. They can come home for Thanksgiving, that this is their home base. So when I hired house parents, I said, now listen, don't come here if you only want to be here for a year or, you just want to try this out. I said, I need you to prayerfully be called to this ministry because I want you to be their home, right? I want you to be their home. I want you to be here for a decade or more.
Your mom and dad.
Yeah, you're like mom and dad to these kids. So yeah, so that's
wow. That's amazing. I knew you was talking about Rock Island, but I didn't know that it went any further than that.
Yeah.
So I think that's absolutely wonderful. You say you have two boys there now.
I do. And if after this, if you'd like a tour, I can give you a tour too.
I would like that. Yeah, that would be great. I just think this is wonderful. Now, you're running a trucking company.
Yeah.
and you're doing this. How in the world do you split your time and then run your family on top of that?
Yeah.
Your husband's got to be going nuts.
No. I think he's used to it, Casey. I think he really is.
He didn't know what he was in
No.
for, did he? When he said, I do.
No, he didn't. But I think he gets used to it. Well, I think it's better now. I take in homeless people too. So I mean, he did tell me I was done doing that.
I heard about
Yeah, he did tell me I was done doing that too. But I don't know. I always had kind of a big heart. So
You know, I can relate to that. My dad, many years ago, our farm down in Hopkins, we had a 15-room farmhouse.
oh wow, beautiful.
I don't know if you're familiar with 1888 Barn. It's a wedding venue.
Oh yeah.
That's our old farm.
No way.
That's our
really?
old farm. That's where I grew up.
Awesome.
So that big house is now an Airbnb.
Wow.
And but that's where I grew up. And so Dad had a jail ministry. Well, you know what happens when people get out of jail, no place to go.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. You go get them, bring them home. And so we had some characters,
Mm-hmm. I bet you did.
you know, but I've really seen God work in that alone.
Mm-hmm.
And we've made some good friends throughout the years because of it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the stories that we could tell from that is just amazing.
That's awesome.
But so I understand what taking in homeless people is all about.
Yeah.
But that in itself is a ministry,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and if you can open your home, or you're opening your heart, and God gives you the grace and the peace to be able to do those things. So my hat is off to you to do those, and everything that you do. I've known about GrantMeHope, and we've talked a lot about it over the years and stuff like that. And I just think it's a wonderful thing. Now, if somebody wants to adopt one of these children or even foster, can you just give us a little insight
Yeah.
about that,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah. So it is free to get your foster license, and it is typically free to adopt from the foster care system. And it's just time consuming because they have to do a background check on you and you have to have a home study done. So what would happen is if you are interested in doing foster care or adopting from the foster care system is you would call your local Department of Health and Human Services, or if you have any, I would just Google foster care agencies near me or adoption agencies near me,
Okay.
and I would call them and just write down all your answers and then go with the one that you like. But what they will do is they will have an informational meeting that they will either invite you to come to, they'll do it via Zoom, or they'll come to your house. They'll answer all your questions. They'll leave you with an application. The application is very thorough. It asks for 3 references. It asks about, interest, all about your house, right? You fill that out, turn it in. They send you down to get fingerprinted. You get your fingerprints done. When they get that back, then they'll sign you up for parenting classes. Parenting classes are really good because they try to teach you how to deal with trauma and to see things from the child's perspective. Because
Okay.
you could maybe give a little girl a doll and it could trigger a bad memory, and she could throw that doll across the room and you'd be like, what's
Mhm.
going on? But it teaches you how to see things from a child that's been traumatized. So it's very good classes. When you get those classes done, they also send someone out to your house and they ask you all kinds of questions about how you were raised, how you parent, why you want to do foster care, what you're looking for, what age group is it? Are you looking for 2 kids, 5 kids, 1 kid? What are you looking for? Do you want to adopt? Do you want to do? And they fill out all this information. Then they go through your house and make sure everything's compliant. So your trampoline has a net, your hot water heater is not too hot, your guns have trigger locks on and they're in a safe, your pills are locked up, things like that. So they go through your house, tell you what you need to do to be compliant. When you get your parenting classes all done, then they come back and make sure that you did everything that had to be done. And then they go back and then they write up a home study. They send that to the state, and the state will issue your license, your foster care license, and that's good for 1 year. Every year you have to have so many hours of training. like, I think it's 10 or 12. I think each state's very similar. But for us, you could read a book and write a book report on it. You could go to actual classes. You could watch videos like I was watching, and then you'd write up a thing on it, something like that, and just proof that you've had
Proof that
your
you did it.
training. Yep. And you submit that in. They come back out to your house. They make sure everything looks the same and nothing's uncompliant, and then they reissue your license again for another year.
Okay.
If you move in that meantime, you let your caseworker know, hey, we're going to be moving. Your new address, your new home would have to be inspected, and then that new license would have to go to that new home. So that's kind of how it works, but it's a little time consuming, but it's painless.
Mhm.
And the only difference if you adopt from the foster care system is you have to have a letter from your doctor for every member of the household that says there's no mental or physical reason why you can't adopt. And that's the only difference between adopting or having your foster license.
Okay, so if you're fostering and you decide you want to adopt that child, this is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
both. It's the same process. It's the same process for getting your foster license as it is for adopting from the foster care system.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And in most states, it's free. In Ohio, I think there's a $2,000 fee, but they have grants for it. In Michigan, it's free. In Georgia, I'm not sure, but a lot of the places when you adopt from the foster care system, there's either grants or it's free. It's totally different from a private infant adoption. When you hear a private infant adoption, you hear like 30, 40,000.
Right.
Right. That's totally different. And the reason being is when you adopt from the foster care system, the state is paying the caseworker, the attorney, the gas, the copy machine, the lights to be on, all that. When you adopt from a private infant adoption, you, as the adopter, are paying the caseworker, the attorney, the gas, the lights, all that. So that's the difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, through your adoptions and all this stuff, is it just merely teenagers and stuff now that you are able to adopt, or is it any age?
Any age. Yeah. When you go and get your foster license, you can say, I will do from, like when we first got licensed, our youngest was 3.
Okay.
And I personally didn't want kids older than my youngest child. So our first license was 0 to 2. And then every year he had a birthday, we would up it 0 to 3, 0 to 4, and we would up it. When we produce our videos of foster kids, I have found, and this maybe isn't true everywhere, but I have found once they reach the age of 10, it seems like maybe people aren't as inclined to adopt them or whatever, or if they have anything wrong with them. It could be a hearing problem or a wheelchair or ADHD or whatever, anything nonverbal like that. We get the gamut of all ages of that. Sibling groups, harder to find a family
Sure.
to take in 5 kids or 6 kids or 4 kids. And a lot of times it makes me so upset, but a lot of times the state or the caseworkers will split up a sibling group because they just plain can't find a home that will take 5 kids.
Mhm.
It breaks my heart, but it is the truth. So they figure, well, if I can get 3 of the 5 kids adopted, it's better than none.
None.
Right?
Right.
So I understand the logic behind it, but it just breaks my heart,
Yeah.
right? Because it's hard on the kids.
Sure it is.
Very hard on
Now, in the foster system and the adoption system, does it have to be a couple, or can single people
right.
foster and adopt?
Yes, single people can foster and adopt. That's changed
Really?
a lot over the last, I'd say probably 30 years. It
Yeah.
used to be you had to be married, you have to be perfect, you have to whatever. It's not like that anymore. Single people can adopt. And in our state, now different states are different, but you can have a 50-year age difference if you're going to adopt. So if I am, say, 65, I can still adopt a 15-year-old. Okay?
Okay.
So, but some states are different. Foster care, there's no age difference. So
Okay.
I could be 65 and I could have an infant,
A 3-year-old
Right,
baby or whatever.
but I might not be able to adopt. And it might depend on the situation too. They might make an exception,
Sure.
But yeah, so you can be single, you can be older. Yeah.
I wondered about that. I've never been married, always been single all my life. So, but I love kids and I always wanted to have kids of my own, you
Yeah.
know. and I've never been able to, but
Yeah. And we've had a lot of single dads adopt.
really,
Yeah.
I think
That's
it's
awesome.
wonderful. Now there's no way I can do it. I got a lot of health problems. My house is not conducive to it. I got a 1-bedroom house,
Yeah.
so that won't work.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, do these children have to have their own bedroom and stuff like that?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Now they can be, you can have two siblings or two, like if you have a little boy and you get another little boy, they can both be in the same room.
Okay.
As long as they each have their own bed.
Bunk bed, something of that nature.
Yeah. And I think they got to have a dresser or so much,
Sure.
square feet to put, their stuff in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is all interesting stuff. It's stuff that I,
Right.
don't know, wouldn't think of. But maybe somebody out there is considering this,
Yeah.
and it's just a wealth of information. So, Grant Me Hope. What exactly does Grant Me Hope do in a nutshell?
Okay, so Grant Me Hope is a marketing initiative where we produce videos of adoptable foster children and air them on partnering TV news stations in an effort to find them an adoptive home.
Okay.
We also have homes for aged out homeless foster youth, 18 on up, where we try to help them become successful. So I've got homes for girls too, which I didn't even
Okay.
mention.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Yeah, we got homes for girls as well. So I've got enough housing that I can get 34 kids off the street.
Really?
Yeah. And we will take kids in from any state, not just Michigan. So in Georgia, if you're watching this, or Mississippi, wherever,
Well,
if you
this is
know,
going on YouTube, so it's
okay,
gonna
so it'll be all over.
worldwide.
Yeah. So anywhere in the United States, if you have aged out from the foster care system, you are struggling, you need help, call us. I can give you my phone number at 616-836-7949. Call me.
Do me a favor, write this down because I will
Yep.
put it in the description.
I will do that. And then our website is www.grantmehope.org. So you can find kids available for adoption by state on there. One thing, this was kind of fun. I own a trucking company, and somebody said to me, Helen, you own all these trucks. If you want to educate America, why don't you put decals on the back of your trucks?
I asked for one time.
And I'm like, oh my word, what a great idea, right? So I called all my competition. And now, I don't know about you, Casey, but most trucking companies are not friends with their competitors. No. So I called them all, and I'm like, I need you to help me. Come meet me for breakfast. That's when Rock Island was open yet.
Okay.
And I told them what was going on with these kids and how we needed to help them, and we had to get them adopted. And I want you to buy these decals because I'm broke and I need you to buy them. And they're $14 a piece, and I want you to help me educate. And they said like 3 different messages: that it was free to adopt from the foster care system, that 600,000 kids were in the foster care system, and that they were aging out and ending up homeless. And then it would go to our website. I have gotten so many phone calls from all over the United States asking me, okay, how does this foster care thing work? How do you adopt? How does this work? Explain it to me. I've had people from Canada call me. I've had people from all over the place call me because they see these decals.
That's
So
wonderful.
It was a $14, and look at all the people that we've probably impacted because these trucks are going all over the place. So we've got at least 851 decals on the back of trucks going all over the place. So if you know of any trucking companies that want these decals, we would love that.
Well, I'll tell you what I would like is I want to get 2 of those decals. I'll buy them from you,
Okay.
and I'm going to put them on each side of my car,
Okay. Good.
like a big sign on the door.
Yeah, it is a big sign on the door.
Okay.
Amen.
And that's what I want to do.
Okay.
But I think that's wonderful. I have like I said, I have a heart for children. My family always did. We took in kids, it's biblical.
It is very.
So we'll end this up. I know you're a real busy person. I appreciate you taking time to do this.
Thank you, Casey.
Is there any last closing and parting words that you would like to say? Just look right over there at that camera and lay it out there.
Yeah. If people would pray for Grant Me Hope and the ministry and the kids that we're trying to help. Our goal is to go nationwide, so we want to get all these kids on the air in each state. So just pray that we're successful.
We can do that.
That'd be awesome.
We can do that. Helen, thank you again so much
Thank
for everything, and thank you for what you stand for and these kids. Anyway, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this video and this podcast. I know it's a little bit different from our other podcast, but I want to say thank you. If you know of anybody that needs this kind of help, or know of somebody that would be interested in taking in some children, give Helen a call, and she will do everything in her power. Trust me, I know this, to make it happen.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.